Maybe it is as the Bible says. They're just by the grace of God. They are God's children, closer to the source, maybe. So therefore it's more natural for them to resist something that is artificial. Whereas those who are far from the source, they've still got the source in them, but it's plunged down deep, or it's a faint memory. They can't quite, summon up the passion to resist. So they go along with it. They're taken in. They go along. And that you can't really address. What can you do? If it is biochemical, I thought maybe it's not education. Maybe it's deeper. It's biochemical. Maybe it's biochemical. Maybe it's hormonal. Now, how will words be effective if it is genetic? If people have been produced, like it suggests in Brave New World, maybe that's already happened. We've already been turned out en masse, and a few have not. A few have escaped, and they are the weeds. They're the ones that weren't part of the program. Maybe this has already happened, and we are a cultivated race of laboratory-produced flowers.
Right.
And a few have not been part of that program and have managed to be born naturally. See, that I can perceive coming in the future. Maybe people in the future will be born sterile, and they'll have control of the seeds, like a seed bank. And people won't be born with testes, men. They won't be born with testes. They would just be born to have sex, but no testes. And that would solve the thing of promiscuity, all these uncontrolled births. We are free beings now at the moment. It's fantastic that we've been born of a womb. We've been born of a mother's womb. And a father has ejaculated into that womb at random, and here we are. We are the weeds. But in the future, I can conceive of a society where production won't take place that way anymore. It will be totally controlled in laboratories. People will be born, as it suggests in Brave New World. It's coming. And only those who are outside of the system with testes will produce free children, wild children, and they'll be almost like feral. And the super rich will breed that way as well. Of course, they'll also be continuing to breed because it's lovely. Their own seed is passed on. That would be a luxury, only enjoyed by the super rich and the ferals, the outlaws. But they will be roped in eventually, and then they'll be brought into the system, sterilised, castrated, whatever, and then. Then they're monitored now. We've got this seed of this one, and now we can blend it with this one and make a more docile version. Just like horticulture, same thing. That's what they want. That's the ultimate control. Then money's not required anymore because they've got you now. There's no even possibility of rebelling or opposing. No chance. But it's almost like that now. The education system has done it. It's almost that way. So that's what makes me think, is it education, or is it already been done? Has it already been done? How can people be susceptible to this rubbish? How can they not naturally see that this is rubbish? When you're born in nature, you can't see the tree anymore. You can't. How is it possible that you can lose that? And the superimposed artificial system becomes the one that you believe in wholeheartedly, to the extent that you don't even understand where fruit comes from anymore. Maybe it's already been done, see? I could understand if 10% of the people bought into the system and 90% were, like we are, opposed to it. That would be understandable in a natural system. The only way this could really happen, 90% buying in and only 10% resisting, is if it's already been done. We're artificial. The majority of us have not got any nature in us. It's almost impossible. It can happen with education over time, so it's one or the other. But it could also be possible that it's genetic. We've already been genetically engineered, and we don't remember back that far. It's been doctored, the history and everything, and we don't remember back that far. And only a few of us have retained memory because we are natural. We're still natural. So we pass on genes naturally. And that's the way of old. The old way was oral. It was genetic and it was oral. There was no books and transference of information that way. It was all through just blood, knowing, intuitive, because your dad was that and then you are that. You've got the same blood, so you feel it. It just triggers. As you get to a certain age, the hormones kick in and that's the information. There's an old black guy I was listening to in Speaker's Corner once, and these people were pontificating about education. And he just cut through. It just went quiet. And then I just heard a voice in the crowd, and it was an old black guy, and he said, "We don't read books where I come from. We just breathe, and the information is there." I said, that's deep. That's deep. He just breathes in the knowledge. He breathes in, and that is the knowledge. And it's suggested in the Hindu, culture, the prana, breathing, pranayama, breath, so important. See? But maybe it's more important. It's not just about invigorating the body. Maybe it is actually information. You're taking in cosmic information. You don't need any books or universities or anything. Just go out and breathe. Breathe the air. But with that in mind, see, we've fallen from grace. Everything's so simple. What's the problem? It's not difficult to resist the system. It's not difficult at all.
Well, you see, you're saying that, Mickey, but you know it's all right for you. You're
That's
an
right.
extremely successful mouse.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
You've got you know a whole lifetime
And
of royalties coming to you.
I've had old Disney as my dad. See,
Yeah.
who could want for anything more?
Exactly,
I've had Disney
yeah.
as my dad.
So it's all right for
See?
you.
He created me. Old Walt created me, a multi-millionaire.
There you go.
So
You've got a rich dad.
Yeah.
What more could you want? So it's all right for you to say it's easy to leave the system, but I personally,
I must say, he
But
had good
as
intention.
a-
Walt, he did have
Did
good
he?
intention. He did, yeah. If I can just tell everybody, he did have good intention.
okay,
He was a bit seduced by the cash, but he did originally have good intention.
right,
He did.
okay. There are some people in the entertainment industry, Mickey, who do have good intentions.
right, they
There's
try.
some good subversive comedy and
That's right.
you know,
That's
Simpsons,
right. That's
that
right.
kind of
That's
stuff.
right.
Good stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, but I wanted to come back and ask you, Mickey. You're saying it's easy. I'm saying from my experience,
Right.
I don't know what it's going to take. Yeah, but you know, even with what I know, I have to admit, you know, that I do still find it hard to resist going into Tesco's.
Right.
Even though
Going
I
into
know about
Tesco.
them.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm doing
Yeah.
it less and less.
Yeah.
Right? But
They hold the resources and they've made it convenient. They've put them everywhere so that you need basic resources. There's no doubt about that. You need
yeah, but
vegetables, you need fruits.
I don't need to go to them.
You don't. You're lucky
Right.
if you don't. Yeah, maybe you've got
Because
other
I've got
alternatives.
local- there's
That's
local
right.
stuff.
They're removing that. So imagine a time in the future, which will come, where they remove all of the small stores.
Yeah.
And the only resources are with Tesco. They're with the corporates. We'll have to go to the corporates.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. We have to get our stuff. Nothing wrong with that. See? What's wrong with that?
Well, I'll tell you what the problem with it is the problem is, you know, is that at the end of the day, firstly, by walking in there, I'm exposing my mind to some really sophisticated mind control.
Right.
Yeah? Which I find really abhorrent.
Yes.
And yet,
Which you just walked through, like the film Them, They Live. That
Yeah,
film They Live.
exactly.
That was it.
Yeah.
Once you got the sunglasses on, the glasses, you can see it all.
Okay,
and then it's
fair enough,
comical.
fair
Then
enough.
it becomes laughable.
Yeah.
You can laugh. Look at this
Oh, I
offer.
must
Look
do
at this offer here. Look, Pluto. Come on, have a look at this one. We're all laughing. Well, because we can see
Yeah.
the comedy. We can see it's
that's
a
great
joke.
idea. I'm going to go through Tesco.
They Live.
And just
Watch
laugh.
the film. Just laugh. Put your shades on and you'll see it all popping out, the subliminal messages, because it's obvious to you with the glasses on.
Yeah.
Everybody else, unfortunately, they've not woken up.
Right.
So it's hooking them. They're going to the sugar department, they're going to the thing, they're going, like I said, it's aimed towards children, infantile minds. Just because they're adults going in there doesn't mean they've grown past 6 years old.
Right.
They're arrested development. They're in that state. That's what the system likes. That's why I said, is it already been done? Maybe it's already been done, the job, and we've already been damped down, genetically. Maybe we've been damped down, not only educationally, maybe it's genetic. Because how can it take root? I had a conventional education, but I resisted it from day one. As soon as I went in the school, my mum said I was crying.
Wow.
When they took me in, I was crying and thrashing and didn't want to be left there because I knew they were aliens. They're not my people. It's not my way. I'm an African. It's not my way. See? So that is not done.
Yeah, you've told people you're an African now.
That's all right. Yeah, Mickey.
I didn't-
Yeah, of course.
I
Yeah,
didn't know Mickey
yeah. Oh,
was an
yeah.
African.
That's right. Of course. Yeah.
That puts a whole new slant on it now.
Everyone's an African. Who's not an
Yeah,
African?
you would say that.
Who's
You
not an
would say
African?
African, you'd say
Everyone's from Africa.
Typical Africans taking over the world.
So they say. That's what I'm hearing. Everybody's an African. We're all from Africa. That's what the scientists have told me. So I must be an African. That's it. What's the problem? Yeah, so it's impossible for it to take root, you see. You can't take root. They tried to force it, but it didn't take root because the nature of the thing is not for that. You can force anything on a plant, but if it doesn't like the soil, it rejects it. It rejects it. Innately, it rejects it. So it just can't go in. That's what I'm talking about, that protection.
See, you started your journey, Mickey, a lot earlier than I did. You know, I would say I only really woke up to all this stuff in the past few years.
Right.
You know, so I'm wondering, what does that mean about?
Yeah, I was never part.
genetics or-
Yeah, I was never part of it again.
Yeah.
You see, so I had an advantage. I was already an outsider by birth. By birth, you see, I was already mixed up by birth. You see,
Right.
Two halves. That's right. So there was.
You had like white.
Yes,
and
yes,
black, right?
black and white. You see, in my monotone days
Yeah.
before Technicolor.
Yeah.
See, it was a black and white situation. See, so I was already torn. You see, there was no friends, so I was born to be an outsider.
Right.
Born in that time, those days, in the 60s, 50s. I was born to be an outsider. There was no place for me.
How did
no
it
place.
feel? How did it feel when you were
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. Imagine,
really
because it's not terrible. It was terrible only because of the heavy conditioning to the contrary, that you must have friends to be somebody. You must have peers to be somebody.
Right.
You must be part of a tribe. You don't feel good when you're by yourself. But this was all programming. I'm questioning it now.
Yeah,
See?
that's great.
Because after the mother's
really helpful
milk,
for my children,
after the gestation
I love
stage,
that. That's brilliant.
that's right. After the gestation, you think about it. After the gestation, what you look at nature. What animal stays around its parents longer than it has to? It wants to move off. Its will is to move off and be an adult. It wants to be mature. It wants to do its thing. It wants to try out its skills. This society programs you to be with your mother as long as possible. And not only the mother, extended motherhood via your girlfriend, via your wife, he carries on and on and on and on. It's not mature.
Yeah, but doesn't
your
this society
friends,
also
peer
take
pressure.
you away from your mother?
Take you away from your mother, but then it puts itself
Like
there.
school.
Yeah,
Like
puts
school.
you in school with others to program you together. But you must be with friends. After your mother, it encourages friends now. You must have friends. You must socialise. Where's your social network? Where's your friends? Where's everything? If you haven't got friends, you're a weirdo.
Right.
You're a weirdo. You're an outcast. You're in the corner by yourself. See, nobody likes you. Ah, poor thing. Ah, you poor. You poor
my
thing.
children tease each other.
Yeah,
You haven't got any friends.
and parents encourage it. Parents also say, "Oh, you poor thing. Ah, come and talk to Johnny. Why don't you like Johnny?" They see it, and then you look at your mum and her face, pain attached to you being on your own, and it registers. Then you feel pain being alone.
Right.
But it wasn't there originally. You were quite happy by yourself.
Yeah.
If you were programmed to be happy by yourself,
My son's 5, yeah?
See?
He loves being on his own.
if you're programmed
He
by
plays
your,
around
that's
in his
right.
own little world.
If the parents encourage
I
that and say
love
you're
that.
strong, you're a hero.
I love that.
Look at these heroes who are also alone. Look at these are your stories. You don't give them Ladybird book. That's it.
That's a good idea. I like that.
You don't give them a ladybird story
Yeah.
where it encourages friendship, but they do. They feed you that in school.
Right.
They feed you those ones. Where's the ones of the lone man? The lone man who stood alone, and he fought against all of this. There's no lone man given to you. I wasn't taught about any solitary heroes. I had to find them myself.
Right.
I had to find all those characters. Then you start to see it's in your face. Hold on a minute.
Mickey, you have been encouraging, haven't you? Kind of a lot of kind of friendship. Don't you have friends like Pluto? Would you not see Pluto as your friend?
Yeah, Pluto, kind of,
Or
but
have
it
you
just
moved away from that now into
it's more
sort of solitary.
it's more light entertainment.
Right.
Yeah, they were more
But
light
you-
entertainment.
but you, Mickey,
yeah.
have you been over the years and now? Do you feel now okay in your own?
Yeah, oh,
solitary-
absolutely. I think
Yeah.
I've always felt okay in my own solitary.
Right.
Yeah, if you look at my films, you'll
Right.
see that there was always a subliminal solitariness in there. Always that message was being put out. If you
Fair
look
enough.
properly, you'll
I
see
know.
it.
Okay, I'll
yeah,
look.
Pluto was there, and all these characters, which you do. You meet people in
Right.
life, but really, it was all about me.
Right.
It was all about me. I think you'll see that when you watch the films. It's all about me.
course.
See, that's right. I realised I was the star of the show. So what's the problem? These were supporting people. Yeah, my
Great.
pals were just supporting the message. Yeah, I think
Well,
so.
thank you, Mickey. You've been really, really helpful today. I
That's
really
okay.
enjoyed talking to you. Do you have any final things to say to your listeners and watchers?
Just to retain humour.
Retain humour.
That's also been one of my strong messages in all of my cartoons. If you look
Funny.
keep it funny. You must keep it funny. Keep it real by keeping it funny. You've got to keep it funny. If you lose the humour, we're done.
Yeah.
Game done for you as
Game
well.
over, yeah.
Finished.
Great stuff.
That's all, folks.
Thank you.
I can't flow.